Welcome to Fear and Fiction, where the stories are strange and the fear is real. What's going on, Fear and Fiction family? We're back. Hope everybody's well. Hope you're enjoying the stories. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you for continuing to support the channel. Today we got some apartment horror stories. Please let me know what you think. Get in those comments and tell me what story is your favorite. Now let's get into it. My apartment building sits a few blocks from the Morse Red Line station in Rogers Park. Nothing special, 4 floors, old brick building. The kind of place where you hear your neighbors argue through the walls and smell somebody's cooking in the hallway before you even reach your door. I moved in because it was cheap. At first I loved it, then I started hearing something in my bedroom wall. Not rats, not pipes, something else. The first time I heard it was around 2 in the morning. I was lying in bed scrolling through my phone when I heard a slow scraping sound. Not scratching, scraping. Like somebody dragging something heavy through the wall. I froze. The sound stopped. I waited. Nothing. I convinced myself it was old plumbing and went back to sleep. The next night it happened again. Same time, same wall. This time it lasted longer. The sound started near the corner closest to my closet, then slowly traveled across the wall toward my bed. I remember sitting upright and following it with my eyes. It sounded like something moving behind the drywall, not inside my apartment, inside the wall itself. The next morning I reported it to maintenance. The guy came up, knocked on the wall, looked around, told me old buildings make noise. That was it. The sound kept happening, every night, always around 2, always moving from left to right. After 2 weeks, I started noticing a pattern. Whatever was making the noise stopped at the exact same spot every night, the wall beside my bed. The sound would travel across the drywall, then stop, and I'd hear 3 slow knocks. Knock, 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 then silence. The knocks bothered me more than the scraping, because pipes don't knock exactly 3 times. Rats don't knock exactly 3 times. People do. One Friday night, I stayed awake waiting for it. At 1:58 a.m., the scraping started. I got out of bed, walked over, pressed my ear against the wall. The sound stopped instantly. The apartment became completely silent. Then I heard breathing. On the other side of the wall, slow, steady, human breathing. I jumped back so fast I knocked over my lamp. The breathing stopped. The scraping never came back that night. The next morning I noticed something strange. 3 fingerprints, pressed into the paint, exactly where the knocking always happened, like somebody had pushed their fingers outward from inside the wall. I moved out 3 months later. The reason I moved wasn't the sound, it wasn't the breathing, it wasn't the fingerprints. It was what my neighbor told me while I was loading my truck. She looked at me and asked, "Did it stop at your bed too?" I asked what she meant. She pointed to my bedroom window. Then she said, "The last tenant heard it too," and she walked away. I still don't tell this story very often because people either think I'm lying or they think I'm crazy. Honestly, if somebody else told me this happened to them, I'd probably think the same thing. I was living in Bronzeville at the time. Small apartment building, 3 floors, maybe 12 units total. Nothing fancy. I worked at a clinic near King Drive and usually got home around 6. The building was quiet, mostly older people, the kind of place where everybody knows everybody. At least that's what I thought. One Thursday evening, I got off work early. I remember that because it almost never happened. I stopped and grabbed food on the way home. By the time I reached my block, it was just after 5. I was about halfway down the sidewalk when I saw someone enter my building. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Then I realized the person looked familiar, very familiar. Same height, same jacket, same hair, same purse, same walk. The person walked exactly the way I walk. My first thought was that it was somebody who looked like me. That happens sometimes. Then she turned slightly, and I saw her face, my face, exactly. I stopped walking, right there in the middle of the sidewalk. My food nearly slipped out of my hands. She opened the building door, walked inside. and disappeared. I stood there trying to process what I'd just seen. Then I started walking faster. By the time I reached the entrance, maybe 20 seconds had passed. I pulled the door open. The hallway was empty. No footsteps, no voices, nothing. I immediately checked the mail area. Nobody. I checked the stairwell. Nobody. I ran upstairs. My apartment was on the second floor. I unlocked my door. Nobody inside. Everything normal. I checked the bathroom, closet, bedroom, nothing. I sat on my couch for almost an hour trying to convince myself I imagined it. Eventually I did. Stress, long day, bad lighting, whatever. That's what I told myself. Until 3 nights later. I was watching television. Around 11, the building was quiet. Then I heard footsteps in the hallway. Normal enough. People come home late. The footsteps stopped outside my door. I assumed somebody was visiting a neighbor. Then my doorknob moved. Just once. Like somebody testing it. I got up immediately. Walked to the door. Looked through the peephole. Nobody. The hallway was empty. I opened the door. Still nobody. I checked both ends of the hallway. Nothing. No stairwell door opening, no elevator, nothing. I went back inside, locked the door. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Silence. Then somebody breathing. I hung up. The phone rang again, same number. This time I let it go to voicemail. The voicemail was only 4 seconds long. No voice, no message. Just the sound of keys jingling. I deleted it. The next morning, I was leaving for work when Mrs. Walker from downstairs stopped me. She lived there longer than anybody, probably 20 years. She asked me a strange question. She asked if I had a sister. I said no. She looked confused. Then she said, "That's funny." I asked why. She said, "I saw you come home last night around midnight." My stomach dropped. I told her I was already home. I had been home since 8. Mrs. Walker laughed. She thought I was joking. Then she described my jacket, my shoes, my purse, everything. Whoever she saw looked exactly like me. That should have been impossible. I didn't tell her what happened 3 days earlier. I didn't tell her what I'd seen. I just left. That night, I parked across the street. I wanted to watch the building. Part of me hoped nothing would happen. Part of me wanted proof. Around 10:40 p.m. I got it. Someone turned the corner, walking toward the building. My heart immediately started racing. Same jacket, same body, same walk, me, again. Only this time I was watching from across the street. I knew where I was. I knew I wasn't dreaming. I watched myself walk into the building. I waited 5 seconds, then ran. I crossed the street so fast I almost got hit by a car. I yanked open the front door. The hallway was empty, completely empty. I sprinted upstairs, unlocked my apartment, nobody inside. Then I heard something. The television, my television, playing in my bedroom. I had turned it off before leaving. I know I had. The screen was on, volume low, and sitting on the dresser underneath it was a paper grocery bag. The same grocery bag I'd bought food in 4 days earlier. The bag I had thrown away, folded neatly, placed in the center of the dresser, nothing else, just the bag. I moved out 2 weeks later. Didn't tell anybody why, didn't break the lease, didn't argue, just left. That was almost 3 years ago. The weird thing? Every now and then I'll run into somebody from that neighborhood, and eventually they'll ask me the same question. The question Mrs. Walker asked. Every single time. They'll look at me funny and say, "Do you have a twin?" And every time they ask, I wonder which version of me they saw. I didn't know his name for almost a year. Everybody just called him Mr. James. I lived in a 6-story apartment building near 71st Street, mostly working people, older tenants, a few families, a couple college students. The kind of building where everybody nods at each other but nobody really talks, except Mr. James. Everybody talked to Mr. James. Every morning he'd be sitting outside. Every evening he'd be sitting outside. Same folding chair, same black baseball cap, same coffee cup, same smile. You walk by and he'd say good morning, or ask how work was, or complain about the weather. Nothing unusual, just one of those neighborhood fixtures. The type of person that's always there. The first time we really talked was after my car battery died. I came outside for work and the car wouldn't start. Mr. James walked over, told me to pop the hood. 10 minutes later, I was on my way. Wouldn't even let me pay him. After that, we talked whenever I saw him. Nothing deep. Sports, weather, neighborhood gossip, normal stuff. Months passed. Then one afternoon, I came home from work and saw an ambulance outside the building. Not unusual. Older tenants lived there. Medical calls happened. I didn't think much of it. I got in the elevator. An older woman from the fourth floor was inside. She looked upset. I asked what happened. Somebody finally found him. I asked who. She looked confused, then said, "Mr. James." I remember laughing. I thought she meant he was hurt or sick. I asked if he was okay. The woman looked at me strangely. Then she said, "No, he died." I waited for the punchline. It never came. I said, "What are you talking about?" "I was talking to him yesterday." The woman stared at me. Then the elevator door opened. She walked out without another word. I stood there wondering what the hell that conversation was about. That evening, I saw another group of tenants standing outside, talking quietly. One of them mentioned Mr. James again, so I finally asked. I said, "Did something happen to him?" The entire conversation stopped. Everybody looked at me. One woman asked, "You knew him?" I said, "Well, of course. I talk to him all the time." Nobody said anything for a second. Then somebody finally spoke. A man I'd seen around for years. He said, "That's impossible." I laughed. I thought everybody was messing with me. Then he pointed toward the empty folding chair near the entrance and said, "Mr. James died before you moved in." My stomach dropped. I told him that wasn't funny. He wasn't smiling. Nobody was smiling. The man explained that Mr. James had lived in the building for years. Everybody knew him. Everybody liked him. He died from a heart attack almost 3 years earlier. I told them they were wrong. They had to be. I described his hat, his chair, his coffee cup, the battery incident, the conversations, everything. The more details I gave, the quieter everybody became. Because every detail was correct. The hat, the chair, the coffee, all of it. Things I shouldn't have known. One woman eventually said, "That's exactly how he used to sit." I remember feeling cold, like the temperature dropped 10 degrees. I asked where he lived. Nobody answered immediately. Then somebody pointed toward apartment 5C. At the end of the hallway, I stared at the door. Apartment 5C. The weird thing, I passed that apartment almost every day, and I had never once seen anybody go in or out, not once. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. The next morning, I left for work, and the folding chair was back, right where it always was, empty, but there. I stood there for a long time looking at it. Then I noticed something. A coffee cup, sitting beside the chair, steam rising from the lid, fresh coffee. Nobody nearby, nobody around at all, just the chair and the cup. I looked around the parking lot, nothing. I looked toward the entrance, nothing. Then I heard somebody behind me, a familiar voice, a voice I knew immediately. He said, "Battery still running okay?" I spun around. Nobody. Not a single person. The parking lot was empty, completely empty. I stood there frozen. Then my phone buzzed, a work notification. I looked down for maybe 2 seconds. When I looked back up, the chair was gone. The coffee was gone. Everything was gone, like it had never been there. The weird part is this. That happened 3 years ago. I still live in the building. I still pass apartment 5C. And every now and then, usually early in the morning, I'll come downstairs and see a black folding chair sitting outside. Nobody in it, just waiting. And every single time I see it, my car starts on the first try. What's going on, Fear and Fiction family? If you made it to the end, I want to thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, hype the video. Please get in those comments and let me know which story was your favorite. Have a good day.